Hi, I'm Andrew, an entrepreneur and a computer science student,
Hi, I'm Raveen, a psychology major student.
and you're now listening to the Ink Thoughts podcast, where we ponder and talk about incongruous thoughts ranging from our daily life to the human mind.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ink Thoughts podcast. So it's been a week, so hope that your week has been great. So what actually inspired me to come up with the topic today is, we human are endlessly seeking for happiness in our definite life. We all want to be happy, and yet life doesn't always go right. There are up and downs in our lives, and which sometimes may lead us to experiencing negative emotions for some people, they might find it hard to feel better after a short period of time. So this idea of you smiling to signal your brain and body that you're happy could possibly lead us to feeling better come some years back then. Back then, I've heard of it for quite some time ago, which you smile first, then you feel happier. I remembered it, but I never really paid much attention to it and not researching much on it until like recently. There was this one day I was kind of moody. I've forgotten if there's even a reason behind it or if it's just because of the gloomy weather in the UK that was affecting my mood. Because it had been raining every day for the past week, and there's no sun, so sad. So that day, randomly I thought of, just smile for myself and to myself. And weirdly, it kind of worked. I felt better and brighter, which then inspired me to talk about this topic, the power of smiling and about facial expression. Well, it's normal that we naturally have different kinds of facial expressions, and oftentimes facial expressions tells us a lot than we could imagine actually. I guess when you take a minute to think about it, facial expression is actually a very crucial part in our daily lives, especially when we are communicating with others. Imagine you talking to about something that's very emotional to a person that sits opposite you without any facial expressions at all. How would you feel? You might feel unheard, and that person is probably cold-hearted and so on. You won't feel good, and you don't feel connected, and you don't feel like continuing the conversation because you're telling something that is very emotional to you, but that person just doesn't have any facial expressions at all. On the other hand, when people are trying to tell you something, you're able to catch certain information from their facial expression as well. Let's say someone is trying to tell a lie. Some people who aren't as good at lying might look very guilty, and you could actually catch that. And I'm that kind of person. I'm not very good at lying either. I remember there was this one time that one of my colleagues back then was having birthday that day. So all of the other colleagues want to surprise her with a cake and a mini celebration for her in the office. Ended up, I don't know why, but they've chosen me. They asked me to, go ask her come down to a lower level. That time our office has 3 levels. So they asked me to go and just tell some lie and make some excuses to ask her come down. But I'm a very lame liar that I forgot what kind of excuses that I told her that made her feel immediately suspicious. And of course, with my not very good in hiding my lying facial expression adds on to that as well. So other examples could be like, have you ever seen someone telling a very happy story or telling a joke that even if you don't listen to him or her, by solely looking at their facial expression itself, you could feel the happiness yourself too? Isn't it amazing? Like, facial expression, especially when you're smiling or something, that just gives so much of power to people around you. It also helps to reinforce the message that the teller is trying to convey. No matter it's positive or negative, it's supposed to be. With facial expressions, the intensity of the emotions associated with the message increases. And if we think about smiling to people, to people while trying to convey certain messages, it actually builds people confidence in believing us, and they probably feel better too because of the power of smiling itself. However, although facial expressions are important and it reveals a lot of important information, it is also important to keep in mind that people don't always reveal their true self through facial expressions, especially for people they want to hide it. They probably had practiced it over and over for 1,000 times, and so they're very good at hiding it. You won't be able to tell it. But like normal people, if we don't really need to do that, we don't practice as much, so it's still kind of easily identified. But it's still good to at least keep an eye on it, and don't blindly believe everyone in your life, especially people that you don't really know. Yeah. And another important thing that I like to highlight is sometimes when you're feeling down, by simply changing your facial expression to smiling makes you feel better, like what I told at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, because the muscles around your face kind of signal your brain and let it believe that, yeah, you're happy, and that helps to change your mood. However, although based on my personal experiences, it is useful and it worked for me, but it's still important to note that research hadn't fully confirmed the effect of this yet. I've actually did some reading on this. It says like they do found some effect, but the effect is quite insignificant at the moment. So probably there still need more research to understand about this whole thing. Yeah. Nonetheless, the point that I wanted to make today is sometimes a simple action could change our mood. So when there's nothing better that you could do, why not let yourself try smiling to yourself, and probably in the mirror, or if you don't have it, you just smile. Yeah, and it actually works and change your mood by a bit. Through that, you might feel better and hopefully see things from different perspectives that, who knows, could help you solve the unsolvable problems that you've been thinking about all this while. Yeah. So now that we've been looking at this from all this perspective, we probably couldn't deny the power of smiling. It doesn't only help yourself, it helps people around us too. When we are walking out there, like random strangers smile at you, you feel happier by a bit as well, right? So when we are sending positivity to people around us, it makes people's day too. So why don't we try, not only making people's day, it makes us feel better as well. So yeah, let's try to use the power of smiling to make our days and people's day better by a bit. I believe it would be a meaningful small action that all of us could do, and hopefully that would help with our own well-being as well. I guess that's it from me today. If you do have any different ideas or perspective that you'd like to share with me, feel free to interact with me in the comment section down below. If you do enjoy this episode, feel free to like and share and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcast channels and podcast platforms, feel free to follow us, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed, do share with your friends and family and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast. If you are not using an Apple device, you can leave a review on the Apple Podcast website with a link in the show notes. If you have any feedback or thoughts which you hope that we'll discuss in the future, feel free to email them to us at hello@incthoughts.com, or alternatively, you can send us a private message on our Facebook, Instagram or Twitter with the username of incthoughtspod. Thanks again, and see you all next week. Bye bye.